Welcome to CEC Gurukul Lectures. In the ongoing series of outcome-based education, today we will be talking on course outcome, program outcome calculations, which is a new method on attainment level by National Accreditation Board. Now, before we move on to the terminologies and the methods, let me give you some abbreviations which will be used in the series. The first is a course outcome and we call it as CO. The next is a program outcomes which we call it as POs. The next is program educational objectives which we call it as PEO, and there are some specific program objectives which we call it as PSO. Now, there are some few definitions which are very important for the calculations purpose to calculate the correlation level and the mapping factors. So, basically it indicates to what extent a certain component, that is the assessment method, to CO or CO to PO or PO to PEO and to PSO. Now, this is the first. The next is it indicates a substantially level high, that is 3. Now, 3, if the indicator is there, it indicates it is substantially high, that is the mapping of the CO and the PO is substantially high and you are able to achieve the attainment level is high. The 2 indicates a moderate level, that is a medium level mapping, which states that the medium contributions towards the attainment when we call it as PO to CO mapping or PO to PEO and to PSO mapping. And if it is 1, it indicates slight low mapping, that is some contributions towards the attainment. So, we have in this particular aspect related to 3 levels 1, 2 and 3. 1 is low, 2 is moderate and 3 is high. So, this is how we have to map the matrix. Now, what is the level of attainment? Now, this is just a discretion of the percentage attainment. To not get confused with the mapping factor, it will indicate this by the labels as HH, that is the high level of attainment, which we call it as 3, MM, which is 2, which is the medium level of attainment, and LL1, it is a low level of attainment, and NA0, that is no attainment of the PO and the CO mapping when you talk about the attainment level of the CO, PO and PEO and PSO mapping is concerned. So, we will be using these particular abbreviations and there should not be any kind of a confusion. HH is 3, that is high, MM is 2, which is a medium, LL is 1, that is the low level, and NA, it is a no attainment level. Now, if you see this particular illustration which is there on the screen, this is a PO-CO mapping. L1 is substantially low, 2 is a moderate, that is a medium, and the third is a substantially high medium, that is the no correlation. So, we can see here the mapping as far as the PO-CO mapping is concerned. On the horizontal aspects we have the program outcomes and on the vertical levels we have the course outcomes. And if you see the particular nomenclature as far as the 3 to 1 is concerned, this particular example very clearly shows that at what level the program outcomes is correlated with the course outcomes, and if the number is 3, that means the level of attainment is high. If the number is 2, the level of attainment is low. If the value is 1, that means it is a low level of attainment and the mapping of CO and MO, that is the PO level, is very, very low. So, this is an example for one course and the same to be done for all the courses of the programs, including the courses taught in the first year. So, this kind of an exercise, that is the PO-CO mapping, the illustration which we are doing it now, this you have to do it for all the courses you are running and you have to map it with the program objectives of that institution and you have to actually map the matrix in terms of mapping and matching the matrix of the course outcomes with the program outcomes. The NBA has given 12 program outcomes and it is advisable for any kind of a course you should have at least 5 to 6 course outcomes. So, we see 1 to 1 attainment and we give the grading of 3 to 1. Accordingly, we know that whether the attainment level is high, moderate, medium or low or no correlation between them. Now, this level of attainment is very, very important. The scale of levels can be defined by the program coordinator or the head of the department. Here 3 levels of attainment is taken as 1 is low, 2 is medium and 3 is high. And three levels of attainment can be defined as HH, that is the 3, that is the high level of attainment. It comes to when 70% students scoring more than the average marks or the set targets in an assessment method. MM, which is the moderate level, is 3, that is 60% of the students scoring more than average marks or set targets marks in an assessment year. When it is LL1, it is 50% of the students scoring more than average marks or the set target in an assessment year. And NA is no attainment at all when it is 0. And when do we call it as 0? When less than 50% of the students scoring more than the average marks or the set target marks in an assessment year. Now there are some very important course outcome calculations. Let us have a look on this. If the targets are achieved, then all the course outcomes are attained for that particular program and is expected to set the high targets for the following years as a part of the continuous improvement. Also, if the scale of 3 levels is used in 1 year and if the higher level is attained, then the scale of 5 levels can be used in the following year, and the scale of 5 level may be defined as follows. When HH is 5, 80% students scoring more than average marks or the set target marks in an assessment method. When HM is 4, that means 70% students scoring more than average marks or the set target marks in an assessment year. When MM is 3, that is 60% students scoring more than average marks or the set targets marks in an assessment method. When ML is 2, that is 50% of the students scoring more than average marks or the set target marks in an assessment year. When LL is 1, that is 40% students scoring more than average marks or the set marks in an assessment method. When NA is 0, that means less than 40% of the marks scoring more than average marks or the target marks in an assessment method. So what does it mean? If the targets are not achieved and you have got a score of NA is 0, then instead of lowering the target, the program put in place an action plan to attain the target in the subsequent years, because this is really a low level and all the efforts should be strived to attain in the coming years from now. Now the target setting for each assessment year. For setting up of the target average and the average marks of the last 3 exams must be taken into consideration and it should be kept as a target average marks. And if the average marks of the last exams are not available, then the current average marks can be considered as a target payment. And this would be different for each assessment method. For example, internal assessment assignment 1, assignment 2, class test 1, class test 2, that is the external assessment, the end semester exam, university exam, practical external exam, and to be noted here that the last 3 exams should be taken into consideration to say one course may be offered in even and odd both semesters as under the choice based credit systems. Now if you look at this example of mapping of CO with the assessment methods. So let us have a look on this. This is the internal component and on the right hand side is the external component. Now the name of the course is in the first column. The course outcomes are there, which is about CO 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So there are 6 course outcomes which are mentioned, and these are the various time periods under which the various internal assessment has been taken. And in the first outcome we have T12 and the next is your C13 and the practical examination 3 and the end of the semester exam 3. So similarly we have for CO2, CO3, CO4, CO5 and CO6. So if you see that if the number is given as 1 in the matrix, it shows that is the level of attainment is very low. If it is 2, it is moderate or subsequent to medium, and if it is 3, it is substantially high, and if it is NO, that is not attained at all, that means there is no correlation of the particular attainment which is possible. Now it is very important for all the National Accreditation Board associate institutions to do these kind of exercise, because before the team visits for the accreditation, this kind of mapping they want, and this work has to be very importantly and meticulously done. you also have to give in this regards the justification of the mapping, that is, proper justification for course outcomes with the assessment methods must be provided. For internal assessment like a teacher assignment, a class test, one can design the assessment based on the course outcomes. For example, the class test 1 is based on CO1, CO2 with equal weightage given to both CO, and then that is why CO1 and CO2 both mapped with C1. Now with the mapping factors of 3, you have to refer to the previous, as shown in the previous slides, same for the class test 2, the C2 and the C3 is done. Now while in the practical exams, if you have done the practical based on the course outcomes and the assessment is available practical wise, then mapping can be done course objectives and course outcome wise, or else the equal contribution to the course outcomes can be considered as done. Hence, the mapping factor 3 with all the course outcomes. Same for the end semester university exams, and if the questions are based on the course outcomes and also the evaluation is available question wise, then the course outcomes is to be mapped question wise, or else equal contribution to all the course outcomes can be considered as done here, that is the mapping factor 3 for all the course outcomes. So these course outcomes based on the practicals and the semester questions for tier 1. For tier 1 category, the institutes, that is the autonomous colleges and the deemed university, where all exams are taken by the institute, they can have a list of the practically designed keeping course outcomes into mind. Also, the evaluation should be done course outcomes wise. With the end semester term exams, questions should be so designed based on assessment course outcomes. Now for example, considering the 6 course outcomes, the 6 practicals, each specially for each course outcome. Also, the internal ERP software can be so designed where the marks for each course outcome to be inserted, and then it can be converted out of 25 divided by 50. So here what I feel is that we should have a very important software called enterprise resource planning software, which is specifically designed in this regard, so that our course outcome assessment marks can be inserted side by side and we can achieve our objectives. Now for end semester 2, the marks of each course outcome based questions should be inserted, and then the total marks can be calculated. So this will be really helpful for assessing the course outcomes when all the marks of the course outcomes are available separately. It becomes a very crystal clear statement of assessment, mapping and matrix. Now coming on to what is the definition of attainment. We have used this word many times. So let us have a look on what is the definition of attainment. Attainment can be defined as what percentage of the students have above set target marks. Example, if 140 students appearing in an end semester exam, that is 60 marks, and you have set marks of as 30, that is the last 3 exam average, to be considered while deciding the target marks, then the attainment can be calculated as follows. The percentage of attainment, it is equal to, your bracket opens, the number of students scoring 30 or above marks divided by 140 into 100. Let's say 104 students covered 30 or above marks, then the percentage of the attainment would be 104 upon 140 into 100, that is 74.28%. So this kind of calculations are very clear and they are given in the NBA manual. Therefore, the level of attainment for end semester exam is 3 as scale is defined. So you have to define the scale very clearly. You have to refer to the NBA attainment booklet and the manual to find out the formulas to put the assignment and the matrix and the percentage of the assessment and alignment in place. So let us have a look on this, that is assigning levels to the assessment methods. The first is, if you talk on the top line, we have the teacher's assignment, then we have the class test, and as a percentage is mentioned. So if you see the vertical column, the first is your average current example that is T1 is 3, T2 is 4, T3 is 4, T4 is also 3, then T5 is 4, and C1, C2, C3 is 11.9, 10.5 to 1, that is the total external overall marks is 28.0. Similarly, we have the target average with us and we have the percentage of assessment. So, if you see the nomenclature which is used here is LL, HH, LL, HH, MM and HH. So, what does this mean? And if you see the HH3, it is above 70%. If MM is 2, that is above 60%. If LL is 1, that is above 50%. And if it is less than 50, it is NA, which is 0. So, these are the actual calculations done for a particular subject. So, let us now do the course outcome calculations, which are also very important. See, on the left hand side, we have a vertical column with the course name, followed by the course outcomes, then about the teacher assignments which has been taken, and followed by the class test, and then we have the end semester exam component. So, similarly, the same aspects of 3 to 1 and HH, LL, MM is given, and if you see the end exam, it is 3, 3, 3, 3, that is the level of attainment is high. Similarly, for the course outcome calculations, we are on the left hand side, we have the course name, and the course outcomes are there, the teacher assessment and the class test is there, then the percentage attainment level is mentioned, the end semester marks is mentioned, and the attainment the level external is mentioned, and the overall assessment is there, which is internal plus external. So, if you see the matrix here, the calculations, I will let you know how we have calculated this, this is how it is placed. Now, this is the course outcome calculations which are explained. The first is your course name, then we have the course outcomes, then we have the teacher assessment, then we have the class test, we have the practical exams, then we have the attainment level, end semester level, then the attainment at the level of the external, and the overall assessment is concerned. So, the level course is 1, 3, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1. So, overall we can say that the calculations for the internal and external in totality we call it as the overall attainment is 1.30. Now, this is the formula which is used across all BA, NBA affiliated institutions to calculate the attainment levels. Now, the attainment level in brackets, if you see it is written as internal, is a summation of mapping factor into the level points and divided by sigma of the mapping factor, that is 2 into 1 plus 0 into 3 plus 0 into 3 plus 0 into 1 plus 0 into 3 plus 3 into 1 plus 0 into 3 plus 0 into 2 plus 3 into 3 and divided by 2 plus 3 plus 2, that is equal to 1.75. So, if you see the previous slide, this is the you can see here the level of attainment is mentioned as 1.75 and we have calculated 1.75 as like this. So, the attainment level, if you talk about external, it is 3 into 1 divided by 3, it is equal to 1. So, overall CO1 301.1 considering 40% contribution from the internal exams and 60% from the external exam, we call it as 1.75 into 0.4 plus 1 into 0.6 is equal to 1.30. So, if you see the score and you get back to the previous slide, it is, if you see on the right hand side extreme left, it is mentioned 1.3, extreme right it is mentioned as 1.30 and 1.30 is calculated using this particular formula. It is very well explained in the NBA manual, you can download, and all the institutions who are preparing themselves for the accreditation, they have to do the mapping of the CO and the PO like this. So, it is a summary and the remarks on the attainment part. If you talk about the course outcomes, C301.1, C30.2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. The level of attainment, we have seen the formula, is coming on to 1.3, 1.2, 1.6, 1.4, 1.6 and 1.5. So, what are the remarks? That yes, we are able to achieve the course outcome. Now, let us move on to the analogy to the credit grade system. It is just like a grading system where we define the cutoff of the marks. Here the cutoffs are nothing but the target levels of attainment, which we define as follows. If HH is 3, the threshold is 70% of the students scoring more than the average marks or the set target marks in an assessment year, and is 3, that is 60% of the students scoring more than average marks or the set target marks in an assessment year. So, HH is high and is moderate, that is 60%, and LL is low, that is 1, and we call it as 50% students scoring more than average marks or the set target marks in an assessment year. When it is 0, it is less than 50% scoring more than the average marks or the set marks in an assessment year. So, overall, if you see the students who just gets the cutoff marks pass the exam but with the low grades. Same in this method, if the level of attainment is just 1, we can say the course outcome is attained. If the level of attainment is less than 1, then we will say that the course outcomes is not attained and the remarks will be taken as not attained. And then a proper gap analysis has to be done, that why the course outcomes are not achieved. And if on the similar pretext, if the similar method is used for the outcomes calculations of the previous exam, then we set the target for a level attainment, or else during the mid of the term, seeing the performance of the students in the internal component, the teacher can set the target. Let us see how we do the target analysis and the gap analysis. So, this target for the level attainment and the gap analysis is very important. If you see on the left hand side, we have a course outcome, then we have the attainment level for the last exam, the target level for the current exam, attainment level of the current exam, and we find out the gap, seeing the difference between the two, and of course, we do the gap analysis to work towards the desired direction. So, it is attainment level for the last year is 1.2, then the target is 2. So, attainment level of the current should be 1.3 and the gap is 0.70. Similarly, 1.4 for the course outcome 2, the current target for all the exam is 222 and the gap in fact is different. If you see the differences of attainment level and the target levels, it is 0.70 for 1, 0.73 for 2, 0.33 for 3, 0.52 for 4, 0.37 for 5 and 0.50 for 6. So, the performance of the students in the end semester is not as expected. So, the target should be kept based on the performance of the student in the first and the second class test, but before, that is the overall exam, the teacher must have the sufficient time to work on the delivery if the performance is on the lower side. So, this is how we do the gap analysis as far as the target for the level attainment is concerned, and to do this type of an exercise is very important for a continuous assessment of all the higher education institutes.